Color, light, and luscious paint have long characterized the paintings of Sacramento artist Leslie Toms. She calls herself a California colorist, but travels the world for inspiration and subject matter. All right. Hi, Leslie.
Kelly?
All right, I have to move things around my screen so I never know when I'm going to see who's popped on. Who do you have there with us tonight?
I have my studio assistant, Woody, tonight.
Hi.
Yes, to learn how to do all this stuff, like me. I've never done this before. So
that's great. He seems to like the camera, I can tell.
He likes it better than me. In fact, he has his own Instagram page. So yeah, he's very active.
Excellent. So what would you like to start off with tonight? Do you want to tell us about your day today? Do you want to tell us about your practice?
Well, I'd like to tell you about how I became an artist, because when I was a kid, I was always painting and drawing and making things, but it was a time when most people expected you to be something when you grew up, and so you decide, I'm going to be a secretary, or I'm going to be president, or whatever. And I decided I would be an interpreter at the UN. So that was like a really big thing for me. And in high school, I was good at languages, and I was sent to Bolivia as an exchange student when I was 14. And I spent a lot of time in the central parts of, he's wiggling, Central America and Mexico and all that. So that was kind of an abrupt thing for me. My parents were going through a divorce, and so I came back and I started more languages in high school, and I was so good at it that I got a full scholarship at Chapman University, which included going around the world on a ship for 4 months. And I just thought that was great. That was amazing. So by the time I got to Chapman, though, I was already wondering if I could keep that up, the whole language thing. And I went to register my first semester, and my name starts with a T, so I was one of the last to get a class, and I needed one more class to keep my scholarship. So I had a choice between advanced algebra and introduction to printmaking. So I took printmaking. And so as I went through the course the first few weeks, I realized that I had nothing in common with the people in the language department. And I loved the people in the art department. So that's how I started to become an artist. And I think my connection is going a little, sorry. So, and then fast forward, after the trip around the world, I did that when I was a sophomore. And I met someone on the ship, and I ended up living in Holland. And so I took a semester off, and I worked on a term paper, and I lived in Amsterdam. And it was the coldest winter that they'd ever had. And the whole canal froze, everything froze. So I figured out that I could go to different museums on different days, the ones they were open and free for students. And so I would just rotate between all the museums, working on my papers. And I was, toward the end of the trip, sitting in front of The Night Watchman by Rembrandt, I was really not into Rembrandt that much, but I was a printmaker. But I had been looking a lot at the Van Goghs and other things with a lot more color, and I loved Van Gogh. And that's kind of how I painted when I was a kid. So I sat there and I thought, I'm going to be an artist. I'm going to go home and be an artist. So I changed my major, lost my scholarship, and I moved to Sac State. I came back to Sacramento, where there was a terrific faculty. And I just happened to luck out and then get involved with people like, Thibault and Condos as I went through. So that's how I became an artist. And, not too many people know that.
So did you actually start painting at Sac State then?
No, I took classes. I was mainly in printmaking, papermaking. I did ceramics, sculpture, studied with Ruth Rippon, Gerald Wahlberg, lots of people. But it wasn't until I worked at the Crocker Art Museum that I'm thinking, I'm going up and down the stairs and I'm thinking, wow, I really like these paintings. I should be doing that. Why am I doing printmaking? It's all backwards and icky ink. And so that's when I started studying. And that was like 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. I started to just take classes with local artists and eventually went to other people's workshops abroad, as well as I studied with Wolf Kahn. I was one of his students and he mentored me. And we had a very similar sense of color and what we wanted to do with it. So I felt he was a brilliant colorist. And it all kind of evolved that way. And it's still evolving. That's how it is.
So tell us more about your use of color, because that seems a really important element to your paintings.
Well, I don't use color the way most people do because, and I teach a color workshop. I teach more than just color workshops, but I do one color mixing made easy. And that's one of my most, famous ones. I just put it on. I get lots of colors in different tubes. I don't necessarily mix everything. So I almost use color like I'm using pastels. So I just, I think of the color. I look at something and I think of the color. Like a tree might not be brown trunk. It's a purple, or it's, it's not. It's really more like a post-impressionist, more Bernard and that sort of thing. Because the color to me has to just make it fun and you move your eye around. And I want people to smile when they see what I do. So all I do is paint to bring joy. And I don't think I'll ever be famous and be in a big museum, but I like doing it and I like making people smile. And I think to me, that's been the secret for me, just doing it.
That's wonderful. How has your practice changed much since COVID and having to be isolated in that way?
Well, first of all, I miss my friends and I miss all the other artists. And this has been a great opportunity for us to connect a little. No, not really, other than I got depressed in the beginning. I kind of went, ugh. But when everybody else started buying up all the toilet paper and the dried beans, I started ordering a year's worth of supplies. So the trucks would come every other day with my art supplies. Because I figured I don't want to be like these artists, European artists in World War II, where they had to paint on their sheets and stuff, or they ran out of paint and they were making stuff out of whatever they could find, and which is okay. Some of Picasso's are really cool that he made out of stuff he found and old pieces of paper, but I just felt like I needed to have the supplies just in case. And so I can be locked in forever and I have the supplies. So while other people were maybe getting depressed, I was thinking, man, this is great. My daughter said, oh, Mom, you must be in hog heaven. You don't have to do anything. You can just stay home and paint. And she's right. But I still had a little, so I joined a group of people all over the country, all over the world, who were painting floral still lifes. And it was started by a woman, artist in Holland. And so we did from our own still lifes, but we painted from florals from life. And it was 20 paintings in 20 days, and we posted them. And I did 20 paintings, but some of mine were large. And so I felt like I really worked hard, but it really pushed me to something new. I liked that a lot. It was fun, it was freeing, and I wasn't just in my same subject matter.
So tell us a little bit more about what you choose to paint.
Well, right now, I don't know if you can see behind me on the easel. You see the boats.
The boats. Mm-hmm.
I've spent a lot of time at the Central Coast the last 2.5, 3 years. And I would drive by harbors and see these boats in the fog and in the sun and in the dark. And I started liking the shapes. And so I really decided that I would pursue that. And so that's what I'm doing now. I can't show you, there's some all over in here, but I guess I could turn this thing. But I've been trying to play with the boats as just a form, another vessel for me to put color on. And to me, it doesn't matter. It could have pink water. It's not about making a seascape. It's about playing with the shapes and the colors and the light. And so that's what I'm doing. So that's like the beginning. That's a start that I just started.
So did you end up doing a lot of research on boats just to look at their forms and choose what you were going to put out in the water?
No, I just draw them. I just paint them on. I don't even really draw them. I just paint them. I gotta put the dog down a second. Hang on.
Sure.
Woody's not being a very good assistant there. Okay. Sorry about that. He said he would mind, but no, I don't. I just sort of sometimes I draw with the oil paint, sometimes with a little bit of fine charcoal, and then I fix it so it doesn't bleed through into the paint. But I use the paint thick and thin. I don't get them real thick. Wolf used to say, if you paint thick, you're halfway to hell. And so if you get too thick, it's hard to ever recuperate. You have to just pull it all off and scrape it. But I've been using oils all along. I do acrylics occasionally, just for fun, or watercolors, but especially when I travel, the watercolors are easier, or gouache. It's become quite difficult now to travel with oil paint internationally, anywhere on a plane. So it kind of depends where I go. So I don't really do travel paintings as much as I'm inspired by where I go. It might be a Moroccan bazaar, or it might be staying in Paris and it's raining. It really depends on the feeling and what I'm trying to evoke.
Excellent. So what keeps you motivated to keep painting?
I just can't do without. I mean, I'm one of those people who it's since I was little, I just have to create. That's what makes me happy. And then it makes everybody else happy. So it's contagious. I really don't know, unless I see something, I think, oh, I love that artist's work. Wow. Then I go home and go, I'm going to do something kind of like that, but maybe different, my own way. Sometimes that happens in a museum or kind of in a show of some kind. Or I've done group paint-outs. I'm not as much of a plein air painter, but I can do it because they have kind of a formula, and I don't have a formula. But it's fun to have 3 or 4 of us lined up painting the same thing and to see how different it turns out.
That's wonderful. Do you have a favorite piece or a commission that you've done from the last couple of years?
Well, there's a new painting. All my paintings are on my website, unless they're not quite done. Okay. And there's a new one that is some boats, and it's square, and then also this one back here with these tulips. I don't know if you can see behind me too well.
I can see just, yes, the edge of it.
Let's see if I can.
Oh, there we go.
That was, so when I was doing the florals with everybody around the world, which was fun because we all suffering under the same problem, I started doing them bigger, and that was the biggest one I did. So that was kind of a breakthrough because I usually don't do florals more than, I don't know, 10 by 10 or 12 by 16, something like that. And so that was, I really pushed that one. I like that. But they're all my favorites. They're like kids. I have a hard time selling them because I want to keep them a while. And so you'll have to talk me out of them,
Collectors be warned, you're going to have to put up a good fight for the painting you want.
The selfish artist. And so I get favorites, and then sometimes I've been real poor a few times in my life, and then I have to sell off the ones I really love, and then it happens. But then I move on, I move on and do new ones, and then I'm in love again. So that's how I do it.
So you're on the Verge directory, yes?
Yes.
And then also your website is the other best place for people to find your work and get in touch with you?
Right now I have a show in Carmel in a gallery, and I don't know how long it's up, maybe another month. And it's one of the only galleries I show with that's open right now. I mean, everything has closed. I usually do an open studio, not the Verge one, but I do my own usually in May every year, and art in the atrium, and couldn't do that this year. Of course, can't do the open thing now. So I'm hoping that maybe next year, do it again, because I love the informal atmosphere. People just coming in, walking around, hanging out. We always have food and wine and beverages, and people see each other that they haven't seen for a long time, and it's fun. And artists come, and I love that energy. So.
Yeah. I think that's what we are all greatly missing right now, is the social aspect that's part of the art world and the way that we get to circulate and see each other's work. So
Yeah, I think that's true.
So thank you for sharing with us tonight. It was really great to see your work, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.